friends, it's Shelley. I just wanted to check in real quick because I've been getting really strong messages about what's coming up this week. I am here in Orlando, and so of course we are preparing for the second hurricane in 2 weeks. And this one, Milton, seems to be getting stronger and will be a fairly significant storm. So of course, I am always very conscious of the astrology of the situation. And so of course, I want to look at the astrology and figure out the coincidences or synchronicities of what happens. Being that I've known for a while Pluto's going direct this week, of course, my mind immediately goes to Pluto. And lo and behold, because I don't check in with astrology as regularly as I did when I had the podcast, it turns out that the day this is expected, which is Wednesday the 9th, is also the day Jupiter in Gemini goes retrograde. So of course, that's highly significant. And why is it significant? This storm is building out in the Gulf, and Jupiter represents travel. Of course, the storm is traveling to get where it needs to go. And in the sign of Gemini, it's going to be about local weather. And of course, that affects me because it will be my local weather, but also everybody who is in the path of the storm. And it is also about a certain amount of spiritual growth that Jupiter brings. It's about travel and education and spirituality. So those are the things that are connected, but also action. Jupiter is a very action-oriented planet. It's enormous. And for those of you who haven't heard from the podcast when I've said it before, Jupiter is 1,000 times the size of Earth. Think about that. 250,000 miles around the center of the planet. I mean, from circumference. It's crazy, crazy big. So it has a tremendous pull. When it changes direction, and this is, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's metaphorical because it doesn't actually stop in the orbit around the sun and change direction. It's from our perspective on Earth. But that is enough to create a tremendous shift. So what does that mean? It can mean a couple things. It can mean that the storm itself will slow down and then potentially change course. But the thing I'm more concerned with is that it means it's going to stall out. And I'm hoping that that means it will only stall out for a couple days because, and I know that seems like a long time, especially with a huge storm, but Pluto is also changing direction, like I said, later in the week, and it changes direction on Friday the 11th, which is only 2 days later. And that would be at 5:34 p.m. Pacific and 8:34 p.m. Eastern on Friday the 11th. So between the 9th and the 11th, two enormous events with very significant planets. Pluto is the planet of major life change. It's in the sign of in the sign of Capricorn right now. So of course it's the material goods, it's Earth, it's practical, it's tangible, it's systems, and it's the elderly. Elderly are particularly vulnerable during this storm because they are a lot of times living alone. And due to limited income, they could even be in lesser built homes and mobile homes, things like that. So it is definitely a concern that there are a lot of vulnerable people that are in the crosshairs of this storm. So Jupiter, going back to Jupiter, the influence can be very significant. I'm not going to say might be, it's probably going to be a significant energy because Jupiter is also the planet of transition and transformation. And so it will have a tremendous impact in a spiritual sense, but also in communications because it's in Gemini. It will connect to technology, to phones, to communication. I think that it's going to be probably a significant storm for outages electrically. And again, it may stall out and go retrograde. The storm itself could stall out and then move forward again after a couple days. And then this is an aside. This is kind of another thing that I realized is that we are also heading into the last month of the election, and Trump is a Gemini. Jupiter is right there near his Gemini energy. I think it's 16 degrees of Gemini, and Jupiter will absolutely be going over those degrees until February 3rd. it gets all the way back to 11 degrees, and I think currently it's around 18 degrees. So it has a very large area of the sky that it will transit retrograde. And so that means that as Jupiter's forward in Gemini, our ideas are popping, the chatter in our mind is very big. We may be seeking out spiritual growth, a lot of educational stories. A small aside, my daughter started her career as an elementary teacher. She has Jupiter in her chart in Gemini in her house of career. And this week she gave up that dream. So that's the power of Jupiter. My daughter has been dreaming of being an elementary teacher since she was in kindergarten, and she's now 23. So that tells you the power of this transformational energy. It is a major, major shift and change in what we are doing, thinking, feeling, and expressing in our world. So I just want you to be aware so you can be prepared and understand that it is a very significant week. Here in Florida, of course, our focus is the storm, but it doesn't mean that everybody experiences that. Although I was just noticing, I watch a lot of YouTube videos for France and England, and there is a storm out in the Atlantic called Kirk. And I notice our weather here in Orlando kind of mirrors France. They get a lot of wind when we get wind, and now this storm Kirk is starting to blow and affect the coast of France. So I just want to put out an awareness that they're probably going to experience something very strong as well over in Europe. And so my heart goes out to Europe and all the people who will be in the path of the storm, and also for the duration of the season. I think when Pluto goes into Aquarius, which is November 3rd, another significant day. I don't know if it'll be storms. I haven't looked specifically at that date, although it is one I do a happy dance for and have since, I would say, about 2014, when I started talking about Pluto going into Capricorn. It exits Capricorn, and that means that we are going to receive the benefits of the restriction and stress we've had during the time in Capricorn. So anyway, I hope some of this information helps you. I will probably do another podcast or another quick short later in the week, or as things develop and as I find more information out looking at the charts. But do take care. If you want a reading privately, you can contact me at so@angeliczodiac.com, or so, the letters SNO, at dotted sky.com, and we can arrange a reading. So thank you so much. Take care. Take very good care.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com.